Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller, and we are here to talk about the stock market. My daughter is here today. Hey, and she just woke up from a nap, so you never know what's going to happen. She is working on her first tooth, but she already has her first investments and getting into the stock market. I wanted to answer a question that was posed to me on Instagram. Again, as always, y'all ask good questions. I come up with good answers. So this question was submitted. I wanted to do this yesterday. Schedule got off, so you guys get 2 videos today. Today is Friday. Also, because it's Friday, that code does expire for the $300 discount for the Investors Toolkit. So yes, it expires. So you want to make sure that you use it ASAP. So I'm also going to put this video out a bit sooner than what I normally would, instead of 10 p.m. Eastern or around 10 p.m. Eastern. I know I've been a little late. We're going to put it out just a touch earlier so you can use that discount code as fast as you can. So again, the code is 300 off, the number 300 OFF, and we'll make sure that you get the $300 discount. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, there's a payment option. If you use the code, your first payment is only $49, and the Investors Toolkit is the place you want to be. All right, so let's go ahead and answer the question. It was a 2-part question. I'm going to read it real quick so I don't miss anything. General rule: how much do you recommend putting in a high yield savings account? So how much would you put in a high yield savings account? And do I think it is okay to invest your emergency savings in it using a mutual fund or ETF? So I'll start backwards. So first, a high yield savings account is basically a savings account that yields highly, which means that it pays more in interest. Now, in this environment, when the Federal Reserve cut rates, you ain't getting too much. You might get a 0.5% as a high yield savings. I do think your emergency fund should go there because any interest is better than none. And it is my belief, and the belief of most financial experts, that you do want to have some cash. Yes, you want to have some cash to have access to in case of an emergency. How much would I go for? My goal for most people, for myself and others, and the general recommendation is that you want to have anywhere between 3 to 6 months of expenses. Now, my rule, I adjusted just a bit. Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. So my rule is 3. You stared at me like that for. My rule is 3 to 6 months of your mortgage or your rent. The reason why I say that is because it's a little easier. We all know we pay in rent. We all know what we pay in mortgage. We don't always know, like, what are all the expenses that I have? How, and then multiply that by 6, because sometimes our expenses can change. So I think that's a good measure. 6 months is better. If you can do a year, by all means, go ahead and do that. The reason why I prefer to have it in cash is because you never know when an emergency happens, whether it's car, house repair, medical, anything that pops up, computer breaks, and you know you need it. You want to be able to pull that money out and use it immediately. A high yield savings account is one way to do that. Now, I also think that needs to be your number one goal as you also invest. So for me, let's say I got $100 and I need to build up my savings. I'm probably going to say 75-25. 75% of my money is building up that savings until I get there. Then I'm going to go really, really hard for investing. And here's why. And this goes to the second part of the question, which was, should I put that money inside of a mutual fund or an ETF? That answer is no, because once I put that money in the ETF, just like we saw the last few days, today, at least when I checked earlier, the market was fine. It's great when it goes up, but not when it goes down. You put that money in an ETF and it had Tesla in it, and that was its biggest holding, you wasn't looking so great over the last few days. And what you don't want to do is have an emergency. That emergency money is dipping down because the market is down, and now you have less to pull from. Not to mention that depending on what account you have this in, you could also be paying taxes, which is what I don't want to do inside of an emergency. If you pull out, let's say $1,000 for an emergency, and then you get taxed on, it's really only $800, and then imagine the market's going down in this process too, you could be cutting a lot of money out because you only had it in an IRA or you had it in a taxable account, and you're going to get taxed for that. So my plan, or my best suggestion for you, have it in a high yield savings account, have it separate and apart for your emergencies. Have it there. Once you hit that 6 months, you just go as hard as you can towards your investments, or figure a way to balance paying off any student loan debt and investing at the same time. You guys know where I stand on the investing versus debt. But in either case, I always prioritize savings first because you want to make sure that you are doing as much as you can to protect and pay yourself. When you don't have an adequate savings, you can end up in debt because where else are you going to pull from? When you don't have a good enough savings, you pull out from your investments, which hurts your future wealth prospects. But in some cases, you can also get taxed now. So it's a double whammy. So you want to avoid that. The easiest way, one of the easiest ways to do that is by building an adequate savings. Now, last thing I'll say, whether it's 3 months or 6 months, or you can start to like kind of get milestones as you do this. It doesn't always happen overnight. I know when I first started, I thought, it should take me 2 weeks to get 6 months of savings, which is clearly not true. Sometimes it takes people years. That's fine. The key is start to get there. Start that process. So whatever it is, I like to automate it and say, if my goal is to have 10,000 in cash for savings, I'm going to break that down over 2 years, over 3 years, or over even 1 year and say, this is how much I need to have in my savings. I'm going to make sure that it's withdrawn every 2 weeks, every week, whatever it is, in the exact same way I do my investments. So for my investments, you guys see me on public, I put in money every single week. For my savings, I do the same thing. It's just not as exciting, right? But I say, look, the goal is to have 20,000 in savings. The goal is to have $1,000 in savings. I did this when I was in college. I said, look, $50 every 2 weeks is going to be automated. It goes there. I'm going to walk away, and that money starts to build. So regardless, it doesn't have to be a race. Regardless if you're doing it in a year, 6 months, or even 3 years, the key is to start it and get there because that gives you a level of comfort. Something happens to you, unfortunately, lose your job or anything like that. Guess what? You don't have to pay taxes on that money if anything happens. And you say, look, I got 6 months to get the ship right. I have 6 months to get everything together or to job hunt or whatever it is before I need to do something else, before things get worse. All right, so that is it for me. That is it for us. I cannot believe that we did this in one take, which is rare even when I'm by myself. And you did an excellent job. You did. Yes, you did. She clearly doesn't want to talk because it's you can still see the lines because she's been napping that good. All right, so that is it for us. I will talk to y'all later. Make sure you hit the share button. Also, make sure that you use the discount code 300 spelled out off OFF to save on the Investors Toolkit. Again, scroll all the way down to the bottom. You put in that code. The first payment is only $49, and I help you invest better, help you to avoid those terrible stocks. There is a Q&A section. You'll type in the question, goes directly to my email, and all my students will tell you I am very responsive. I try to get to you as the minute you type that question in, but definitely within the first 24 to 48 hours. All right, you got any other questions about the course? Feel free to let me know. You have any other great questions or stocks that you want me to cover? Feel free to type those below as well. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.